when they asked the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, I want to be a YouTube influencer. They would have been slapped.
Podcaster.
A podcast. Pod? What's a pod? Oh, it's an iPod.
The thing that's up there lately that most, annoys me is physics has not progressed. Science has not progressed. Science is static. There's been no real progress, because of things like string theory and other things. And, most of the progress in technology, if you were to teleport somebody from 1989 to here to today in 2024 at the end of December, they would say, wow, your TV's sure got flat. And that's about it, So in the last, 35, 40 years, not much. And then you look at this book and every chapter, there's been radical discoveries, Nobel-worthy discoveries, ranging from exoplanets. I mean, you talk about, is there life on other planets? And at the time, you didn't know. I mean, we hadn't discovered.
In 1989, the exoplanet count was zero.
Zero.
And now it's rising through 6,000. People who say this, they've overvalued the interval of time over which they're living because they're thinking to themselves, they look throughout history and they sample, let's say 150 years since the second wave industrial revolution, and they want all that to be happening in their lifetime. Well, it sort of is, but it happens smoothly and at a rate that you're not even paying close attention to. So if you go back, is it 15 years? Yeah, go back 15 years. No, go back to 2006, okay? There is no smartphone. YouTube doesn't exist yet, okay? There are people who are YouTube influencers that are making more money than their parents ever dreamt of, and their parents surely would have said, when they asked the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, I want to be a YouTube influencer. They would have been slapped.
Podcaster.
A podcast. Pod? What's a pod? Oh, it's an iPod. What? That's where that comes from, of course. What? That's going to be a thing? What? There are going to be 8 million of those actively produced? What? What? And by the way, we have an SUV-sized rover on Mars right now that brought a helicopter with it. Excuse me? We sent a spacecraft to Pluto. We landed on one of Saturn's moons. First time anybody's landed on a moon outside of our moon, okay? You could walk down the street with your smartphone and talk to someone in Europe and think nothing of it and not write home. Guess what I did today? I talked to someone. Meanwhile, it's in living memory, this shoulder-mounted cell phone that was wielded in 1987 by Gecko in the movie Wall Street as he was walking the beaches of the Hamptons. And I remembered in 1987, gee, I wish I was as rich as he was so that I could have a phone like that. And I could walk down the beach and talk to people with this brick-sized, cinder block-sized shoulder-mounted phone. And now you look at that and say, geez, people actually use that? And so I don't know what they're paying attention to. Their head is in the sand. I don't know what. We have a telescope that can see the birth of galaxies? Come on now. What more? Maybe they're worried that they want a new E equals MC squared or some new formula like that you can write on a small sheet of paper. And is that what they're after? I don't know. Is that what they would count as a discovery? We're on the heels of quantum computing, for goodness sake. All right. And AI. You're in your car, you push a button, and the car tells you, turn left here to avoid traffic and save 10 minutes on your trip. Who's the person inside the car who's calculating that? Nobody. It's a computer. It's a fucking eye, okay? That is in our lives on a level that we're not even thinking about. Because the goalposts for AI have been moved. They're always getting moved ever since like the 1960s when the Turing test was defeated with ELIZA, the program, the computer therapist, where you have a conversation with it and you don't know if it's a real person or you just didn't know. And that fulfilled the Turing test. Well, we keep moving the goalpost and now AI can compose your term paper. And then all the liberal artist folks freaked out. Meanwhile, automated robots replaced factory line workers. And the liberal arts folks, I didn't see any outpouring of sympathy from them at that time. Oh, you just got to get used to it. It's technology moving along. And now, all of a sudden, AI is in everybody's lap and people are freaking out. It's like, come on now. And whoever is not paying attention to any of this, I don't know, are they on an island? Are they like, what? In fact, in the other book, which you haven't mentioned yet, I spent an entire chapter exploring the rate and pace of technology and what happens in 30-year increments from 1850 through 2020. And I just review them, and they're mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. You bring someone from 1990 into the present. and you say, I got to send this file to someone. Do you have a fax machine? No, I don't have a fax machine. No. Okay. Where's your CD player? CDs? I don't even know what a CD, and just, they would not know how to function in our world. They'll get in the car and they won't know what button to push.
Yeah. The backup camera. Where's the backup camera? I can't put it into reverse. Like, it doesn't have a gear if it doesn't have a backup camera. Kind of the chauvinism, right? That we focus as a recency bias, whatever you want to say. The aliens are going to look like us. Life has to be like us in order to matter, to give us cosmic significance. But yeah, maybe technology has to be exactly what we have now. No problems with our current tech, but it has to be that much better. Or we'll say that it's stagnant. And as an experimentalist, look, I have sympathy for some of the complaints about theorists that there has been a sort of, there tends to be a type of groupthink that does occur. It's normal. I think it's natural. And some fields have it, and some fields sure as hell do not have it, because some fields of theory are incredibly active. And we just have to look at observations and experiment to see how active and how many discoveries. I mean, basically every single, 4 or 5 year period has seen Nobel-worthy discoveries that weren't even conceivable 50 years ago. Detection of gravitational waves, imaging of a black hole's event horizon. I mean, incredible discoveries. And I think,
by the way, I only just learned this because I hung out with Kip Thorne just recently for my own podcast. I had a long interview with him about his life. I did not know that in order to stabilize the detector system, because they're trying to measure very small length changes between the two beams on the order of a fraction of the diameter of a proton. So you have to characterize the thermal movement of everything so that you know what is a gravitational wave and what isn't. And apparently, he described this to me, and I was in disbelief so that my brain wasn't clicked in to even understand what he says, but I'll repeat it. But I don't claim to understand it. What he said was they took steps to bypass the Heisenberg uncertainty principle to more precisely isolate the movement of the proton.
Yes, it's called the squeeze states, right? It's
yeah, is that what it was? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Exactly, yeah, quantum squeezing. Yeah,
basically. Okay. It was like magic to me, but oh my gosh! And then you look at,
they did that, and they invented active noise cancellation.
Yeah, and everyone just accepts that and presumes it was always there. Yeah, just get out of my face. You go back to 1990. And we'll see how easy life is for you.
With your Walkman cassette player. If only I could have afforded one back then. I couldn't afford it. I had to get one of these knockoffs.
And they had the CD Walkman, which was bump resistant. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. Speaking of lasers and sound, yeah. The problem with that one, yeah, exactly. That was bulkier. Usually things when the technology improves, it gets smaller, but the CD player was bigger than the tape deck. I remember the skinniest one I had my eyes on. I could not afford until I was a postdoc, probably. But when we think about these things, yeah, it's always surprising to me that people are so pessimism biased. They say that optimist builds the airplane, the pessimist builds the parachute. But it's because I think people think they sound smart if they're pessimistic, like if they're jaded. It's the jaded, tortured genius. But I think you're a beautiful counterexample of that. I think you have.
Well, no, I'm not an optimist. I think I'm a realist.
No.
I'm a positive realist. So
that, right. Yeah.
I look at the fun things that can happen realistically. And
pragmatist, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the word I meant to say. Pragmatist. Yeah. That's the only other ist I'll admit to being, other than a scientist. But I'd rather say I'm pragmatic. Pragmatist implies there's some philosophy and a doctrine and a leader and a cult behind it. No,
Neil, if the shoe fits, wear it. I think you have a nice cult follow. You had a tweet recently that something. I've been playing with similar ideas. I actually talked about this with Stephen Bartlett on his podcast, Diary of a CEO, where at the very end, he gives me the highest compliment. He says, you and Neil deGrasse Tyson are very good at explaining things to lay people. So I took that as a great compliment.
Oh, excellent.
At least for one of us. But the tweet that you had that referenced what he asked me to basically, see if I can debunk astrology. And you put out this tweet, basically, which I've been saying, to some of my friends and my students, if you were born in late November, you're actually an Ophiuchus, which sounds dirty. It's like panspermia. It sounds dirty, but it's not. It's actually fine. It's a perfectly legitimate scientific term. And so Ophiuchus would have been so how does that?
Ophiuchian.
You'd be Well, would you? A Libra. I'm a Virgo.
Libran.
Yeah.
just if you properly do the word in the way, like, Ophiuchus is the constellation. And if you're of Ophiuchus, you'd be Ophiuchian. That's all.
Now, doesn't that just obliterate astrology right then? And I mean, they never knew about it, right? They never talked about it and they never knew about it. And if you tell them about it, they'll deny it. They'll say it doesn't matter. These are just arbitrary. Oh, so it's just an arbitrary distinction, what constellations the astronomers draw. So why isn't it arbitrary what you astrologers draw from the place of the sun on my Mother's Day of giving birth to me? And
No, but it's worse than that. So let's assume that Ophiuchus was just ignored from the original assessment of the 12 constellations of the zodiac. I'm just highlighting it as a reality, but if that reality doesn't matter, there's another reality that should, and that's, of course, that Earth precesses on its axis. And the alignment of the sun with the zodiacal constellation is shifted by an entire month. So, and you can look this up yourself at any star chart, which shows where the sun is at what time of year. And it does not match up. It just doesn't matter to astrologers. So I've had people say astrology can give you insight into a person's personality and their traits and all these. And then they'll say, well, what's your sign? They ask of me. And I said, well, if astrology is that potent, you should be able to figure it out. Why should I have to tell you? All right. You should just go walk down the street and pick out everybody's star sign.